What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Fantasy Alarm Sports Talk. I was just going to call it a regular old live stream, but nevertheless, Howard Bender here, Adam Ronis by my side. It's Friday. Friday's the day, Adam. We start taking a look at COVID updates for the weekend, and then we try to preview all of this week's games. It's going to be a very, very interesting week here. Let's start off with COVID. How nervous are you? I mean, Falcons Vikings looked like it's about to play, but we got word of the Colts shutting down their practice facility this morning. The Patriots shut down their practice, canceled their practice this afternoon. We got more issues, man.
Yeah, the Colts appears to be okay. It sounds like they're false positives, so that game is a go as of now. Obviously, the Patriots is a little bit more concerning because this has been going on for a couple of weeks. It looked like we were in the clear, and then shutting down practice today. The NFL says as of now the game is on, but we've been through this before. So I think what you have to do is just have contingency plans. If you have any Patriots or Broncos, just look at your lineup and go, okay, if this game doesn't play, what am I going to do? And it's going to be a tough situation for some people due to injuries, 4 teams already on bye. It's difficult. And unfortunately, we're going to be going through this probably the rest of the year. I mean, at this point, we know there's going to be some games in Week 18. I mean, it's inevitable, and especially, if this Broncos-Patriots game isn't played, maybe they push it to Monday. Maybe we get a triple header on Monday. Maybe it's pushed to Tuesday. I mean, look, they're trying to do whatever they can to get these games played. It's pretty clear, and we'll just have to wait and see with the news. But, yeah, I got screwed last week in a league where there were no pickups after Saturday. And I had the Patriots defense in a lineup, got a 0. Obviously picked them up in a couple leagues, and I might just have to drop them on Saturday if the game looks like it's in danger.
Yeah, I've got a couple of leagues that make it a little difficult. You and I are in the GST league, and there's no free-for-all at all for waivers.
There is on Sunday.
Well, on Sunday after another round of waivers has to be processed.
Right.
So, I ended up having to, just throw in a couple of, just in case, couple of bids there. Not that there's a whole lot left in the 14-team league, but, something's better than taking a 0. That's basically what it all comes down to. So, guys, we have this article over at fantasyalarm.com for COVID updates. We're carrying it through. As it stands right now, I believe the word on the street is that what is it? Melvin Gordon was sent home today, by the way, for a non-COVID related illness. But they say that this game, Adam Schefter reported that the Broncos are being told to prepare as if they will face the Patriots here in Week 6. So we're being told that Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, has said that game is going to still play. So far so good, but you never know what's going to happen here. Today is Friday. You're going to get more reports on this on Saturday. So check out the article over at fantasyalarm.com. We keep it live. We keep it updated as much as possible, as quickly as possible, to kind of help you guys out. All right. Nevertheless, onward and upwards to Week 6, Adam. Here, I mean, for better or for worse. Let's start off. Let's go through some of the games here, see what we like, what we don't like. Let's start off Ravens, Eagles. Lamar Jackson doesn't look great right now. He might still be hobbled by the knee. Eagles defense doesn't look all that great either, yet they did manage to put up some serious points on the offensive front last week against Pittsburgh, which is a pretty tough defense at home here. I don't know where Zach Ertz is. Put that dude on a milk carton. What do you got on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to be afraid to play Miles Sanders, and it's not a great matchup, but we saw last week he didn't have a great matchup, and he came through. I know most of it came on a 74-yard touchdown run. He didn't do much else yards-wise, but he did get that second touchdown. I just would like to see them get him involved in the passing game more. I mean, I think he's one of the best pass-catching backs in the NFL, and only 2 receptions last week. So, I don't think you can be afraid to play him. Yeah, Ertz is very dicey right now. I do the tight end rankings, and it's like, how far can I push him down? Because the state of the position is just not great. But, yeah, it's tough to rely on him right now with what we've seen. He's not getting open. He's doing nothing after the catch. And this Ravens backfield is, again, something to avoid at this point. I mean, we've just seen three guys splitting. And I understand there's four teams on bye, but like the highest running back is like Ingram in the high 20s, early 30s. It's just
we
there's
can't go back to that well again.
Yeah, right? I mean, you just can't.
No, I definitely can. All right. Cleveland against Pittsburgh. Again, Pittsburgh defense at home, supposed to be money in the bank. They still had 5 sacks. I mean, numbers wise, they're putting some up, but they're giving up a lot of points on the other side. They're taking on Cleveland. Deontay Johnson has been ruled out for this game. So all the Chase Claypool birdies out there are tweeting right now because they want to get him into their lineups as desperately as they possibly can. You and I were just talking about this before we even started. That question that came across my timeline right here. Would you start Claypool over Thielen, Woods, or Devontae Parker in a PPR format?
Yeah. Same question. He sent it to both of us then.
So, I mean, there we go right there. Claypool, bad chalk, good chalk. What do you think?
Well, look, in season-long leagues, people spent a lot of money. My home league, you went for $450. I think he's a good play this week because he's going to get more opportunity. What happened last week? Deontay Johnson left the game. We saw more Claypool. He had a good game. Cleveland's banged up in the secondary. I think we're going to see points in this game. I've been saying this. There's no defenses right now that scare me in the NFL. We saw Baltimore get shredded by the Chiefs. Yeah, they bounced back against the Bengals, but it's the Bengals' offensive line. We expected that. The Steelers were giving up points to the Eagles last week. Their weakness is in the secondary. They have a good front seven. So there's no defenses that you should really be scared of at this point with the way offenses are being played. So, yeah, Claypool, I'm going to adjust my rankings right after this live stream on fantasyalarm.com, and I'm going to obviously move Claypool up. I think I had him right around 33 at the time, but he'll be moving up. He's going to be a good play. He's probably going to be in the 20 to 25 range, but those receivers you just mentioned, I can't play him over those guys. I mean, Devontae Parker has the Jets, so we know he should go off. Woods is pretty consistent every single week, and I think we're going to see points in that game against San Francisco. And Adam Thielen right now is just balling out and gets Atlanta. So it's a nice problem to have, but in that situation, I don't see how you play Claypool over those receivers.
I don't either. On the Browns side, again, a heavy ground game. It's going to be tested severely here, but Baker Mayfield supposedly is going to be back playing. He's fine with the bruised ribs. I kind of worry a little bit about Cleveland in this game. I really do. I think that, they're very capable of putting up the points, but this is going to be a tough front seven for them to go up against. And I got to tell you, Kareem Hunt ain't no Nick Chubb. He's just not as sturdy or as bulky a back as Chubb is. And I think that could be a little bit of an issue for the Browns in this game.
I worry about Baker. I don't think he's played well this year.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, he really hasn't. I mean, this team's 4-1, but it's not because of Baker Mayfield. And I think this is a game too where I think if Beckham plays, he's questionable. Obviously, was sent home with an illness, but tested negative for COVID-19. But he can get open on the Steelers' defense. Again, we saw Eagles receivers getting open deep last week. So it's a matter of Baker Mayfield getting him the football. But I think Beckham could have a pretty good game here. And especially, too, I mean, Pittsburgh's favored by 3.5. So if the game script does force Cleveland to pass more, bodes well for their receivers. It's just a matter of, is Baker healthy enough, and can he get those guys the football? Because we even saw it in week 1. Beckham was open, and Baker Mayfield had trouble getting him the ball against the Ravens.
Yeah, definitely. Game's actually gone up to 4 right now. I'm looking at it on DK Sportsbook. Bears-Panthers. Panthers favored by 1 in this one. I mean, listen, I get it. Chicago's got a nice defense, but I mean, how do you go against Mike Davis and Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore? I mean, this team's offense has been playing very, very well. It's only an over-under of 44.5 because I guess everybody's nervous about what the Bears are going to do. But really, this is the Panthers defense.
Yeah, they're really banged up. Lost Kawan Short for the year. We know that they've been struggling against the run. So this is a good spot for David Montgomery, who obviously has been very underwhelming, but he's getting the workload. And we've talked about this. With these running backs that are getting 15 to 20 touches, just play them. So it's a good matchup here. I mean, we saw Todd Gurley run for over 100 yards last week against his Panthers defense. So you got to figure they're going to get Montgomery the ball. Just continue to play Allen Robinson every single week. He's getting the targets. And with the Panthers, looks like we might get Mike Davis for a couple more weeks. They're saying that McCaffrey might not return to week 8, and that could be a Thursday night game. And if he's not ready for that, I mean, maybe it's week 9. So Mike Davis, continue to roll him out there. He's been great. And it's Mike Davis revenge game week.
7 games for the Bears last year.
They didn't play him, bro. They didn't play him. And now they probably wish they had him.
Oh, good Lord, please help us. Houston against the Titans. Texans, Titans, here you go. Titans are actually favored 3.5 in this one. I mean, obviously, listen, Derrick Henry going up against probably the worst run defense known to mankind should open things up for Tannehill. He won't give you a lot of yardage, but, dude, A.J. Brown is only 5,800 on DK right now. I mean, that to me is just mind-numbing. But then on the other side, Watson, everything that they bring to the table, Fuller. I mean, this Titans secondary might have, done a decent job. I mean, their front 7 did a good job on Josh Allen, but I tell you, with Fuller and Cooks, I mean, this could be another big high-scoring game.
Yeah, I expect it to be as well. The Titans have played well, 4-0, short week for them. Tannehill just gets it done. He's so efficient. He doesn't put the ball in the air a lot. We've seen games from him with under 30 pass attempts and still throwing 3 touchdowns. They get Adam Humphries back this week. A.J. Brown did practice today. I mean, I wasn't worried about him not practicing yesterday. They just played on Tuesday, and he's been dealing with this knee issue. But, he looked good last week. So it's the thing you like about the Titans offense, you know where the ball's going, and you know who to play. You're playing Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Jonnu Smith. That's pretty much it. If you're desperate, sure, Adam Humphries can get you 8 points, 9 points, 10 in a PPR, but you're pretty much playing those 3 guys. And Tannehill's like a borderline QB1, I think, every week. I think I have him 13 this week, and I am starting him in a league. It is a little, what you worry about is, when Derrick Henry has that 3 touchdown game, because it's coming. He had 2 last week. Tannehill still had 3 passing and 1 rushing as they just exploded. Who needs practice in the NFL, right? I mean, the Titans showed it. Or you just have some practices under the radar, and you perform well. But yeah, I think we'll see points in this game. And the Texans offense did look different last week, more play action, and took more shots deep downfield.
All right. Next game, another high-scoring affair, or at least it should be. Falcons Vikings. I think a lot of people are going to stay on Gurley this week, going up against Minnesota's poor run defense. Everybody's going for Alexander Mattison. In this one, what does that do to the passing game for each? Now, Kirk Cousins, despite being run first in 4 out of 5 of the games that they've played right now, 254 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's his average for those 4 games. So Cousins seems to have a decent floor there. What about Matt Ryan? Does he get off the schneid after 3 bad weeks? Coaching change, Falcons, can they do it?
I'm still concerned about the Falcons. Julio Jones is not on the injury report, so he's expected to play. So that's a good thing for Matt Ryan. But I think the Vikings defense has played better the last couple weeks. All the talk about how terrible they were, which they were. They've had a lot of personnel changes in the offseason. But, I mean, they held Seattle down for a while. I know Seattle came back and won, and Russell Wilson did what he had to do, but that's Seattle. So I am a little concerned. I mean, look, you're going to play Julio. You're playing Ridley. But I don't have Matt Ryan as a QB1 this week. It's been 3 bad games in a row, and I don't think all of a sudden a coaching change is just going to get these guys headed in the right direction. I mean, they're 0-5. With the Texans, it was different. I mean, Texans had a tough schedule, and the personnel wasn't in place. I still have concerns here for Atlanta.
Well, you know what? For a guy who tells me that he likes the Jets, or at least doesn't mind them, you need to be rooting for Matt Ryan to have a great game, because I need the Giants and I need the Falcons to win at least one so that we can tank for Trevor Lawrence. Please.
I'm rooting for you guys, man. I hope you get that first pick.
Thanks, man. You know what? I expect to see you in a jet green shirt next week.
Well, I mean, I would wear that before any other jersey. If I had to pick another team, definitely Giants not happening. None of those NFC East teams. But, yeah, I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. It is kind of embarrassing, but
you're gonna have it now that all the hipsters are gonna be Jets fans until all of a sudden they start getting good, and then they're gonna be like, "Well, we can't be fans now because everybody else is."
Yeah, yeah, all those Giants fans, the years that they did well. It seems like a long time ago,
No need to dig when you have no defense, my friend. Speaking of the Giants, Washington football team facing the Giants. How about it? The New York football Giants are actually a favorite in this one, 2.5. Slayton is supposed to play, but he is listed as questionable. Devonta Freeman against this front seven of the Washington footballs. Kyle Allen looked atrocious last week. I don't even know what to make of this game. It's got an over-under of 43, yet somehow, as much as I want to go under, and it'll probably push over in some annoying fashion.
Yeah, I mean, basically both these defenses you can stream. I mean, that's probably what you say about this game, right? We've seen turnovers on both sides. We know Washington has some ability in the front seven. The Giants' defense actually hasn't been that bad this year either. They did have the defensive touchdown last week. So, yeah, I mean, Antonio Gibson, the one concern with him you have is it seems as if they're playing from behind. We see a lot more McKissick. I think McKissick in deeper formats is a solid flex in PPR formats 2 weeks in a row. He's had double-digit points. So if you have some injuries at running back or you're looking to fill in a gap, I think McKissick is fine. Gibson is getting the volume.
I mean, is McKissick all right? Because listen, I get that he's getting the passing work, but I mean, this is when Washington has been like getting buried in games, and they're way behind. And McKissick is on the field and catching passes as they're in catch-up mode. I don't necessarily know if I see the game script going that way. That it would really.
So you're taking Washington?
No, I'm just saying that I think that this could be a close enough game that we're not going to be, forever checked down to McKissick. I think we could maybe see a little bit more Gibson in the ground game, though.
Okay, well, I'm not talking DFS. DFS, I wouldn't use him. I'm talking
about regular in
right,
the world.
Okay.
Also.
All right. So I'll give you some guys. Who are you playing, McKissick or Dobbins?
Ooh. I don't have to make that decision.
Well,
Why do I have to make that decision?
I'm looking at the running backs in the tier where McKissick is ranked, and you're crapping on it, but this is the state of the running back position.
This is the state of the running back position.
Are you playing Frank Gore or McKissick?
I'll play Frank Gore.
Burkhead or McKissick?
I mean, we're also talking about, PPR versus non-PPR.
Oh, yeah. Non-PPR, obviously, McKissick's a huge downgrade because his value is catching passes.
Right. So, it just depends. I mean, you're going to throw him, you're going to lump him in there in a tier with a bunch of also-rans and disgustingness.
But that's where he's ranked, though.
I know that's where he's ranked. So in PPR, yes, okay, fine. Standard, I'd probably pivot elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I kind of would look, and I think I would look at Gibson over McKissick.
That's a given. I mean, Gibson's ranked 10, 15 spots higher.
Okay.
Because he's getting the volume. I mean, you want the game to be close for Gibson because then he's going to be in there more. It's kind of discouraging. Gibson didn't play much in the second half last week. I don't understand why. He was a receiver in college most of the time. This guy can catch the ball. Why are we taking him out? I don't get it.
I didn't understand it either, other than the fact that I think that they thought that in catch-up mode, like they were, that it was more important to get McKissick in there for who the hell knows what reason.
How did we get stuck on this game so long?
I don't know. Because we disagreed on McKissick. You're wearing a McKissick jersey all of a sudden. I'm wondering what the hell you're talking about.
He was available off the waiver wire in a lot of leagues this week. There's a lot of people who are in dire straits at running back. I'm saying in PPR formats, McKissick is not the worst option this week. I have him in the RB3 range. It's not like I have him top 20. I'm just saying for those that are kind of desperate because Washington doesn't have many other weapons. McLaurin, at least with Allen in there, Allen was looking for McLaurin a couple times early. Alex Smith was just throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So, and I know Bradbury's been good, but I'm playing McLaurin. He's gone against tough corners this year and had good games.
That quarterback throwing him the ball, though, that's a different story. That's the thing. I'd rather have Haskins under center for McLaurin's value than Kyle Allen. That's for sure.
But I think Allen did hit him a couple times early, and then Smith came in and didn't even really look McLaurin's way. So
it was a fleeting moment of Kyle Allen. I don't even know. Let's get off of this game for crying out loud. Detroit, Jacksonville. Here you go. So Detroit coming off the bye week. We were talking about it earlier before the stream. Everybody's going to be using that stack of Stafford, Galladay, and Hawkinson. Could this be the Marvin Jones breakout that we've been talking about for so long here, Adam, and stuck to it? Just stuck with him. I haven't dropped him. He's sitting on my roster, sitting on the bench, just begging to come in and play.
Yeah, I'm not ready to throw him in season-long lineups unless you're desperate. I have him in a few leagues, and I'm not starting him at this point. It's been very disappointing so far because we thought with Galladay out, all right, fine, he's going to have a couple big games, and he had 14 targets in those games and scored 1 touchdown, only had 78 yards. Now, it was against Chicago and Green Bay. And since Galladay's come back, I mean, we've just seen 5 targets over the last 2 games against the banged-up Saints secondary in Arizona. So it's been disappointing. Now, you don't want to give up on him because we've seen him have these 2-3 touchdown games. At the same time, though, we've also seen these receivers that are like 30 and over really get off to slow starts. Now, is it because of the lack of training camp and it's taken them longer to get back into football shape? I don't know, but we've seen T.Y. Hilton, Marvin Jones, A.J. Green, all these guys that are like 30 and over really struggle. But I do think if you are playing in tournaments, in DFS, Marvin Jones is going to be low owned. And could you be throwing money away? Definitely. But you could also get a guy that scores 2-3 touchdowns in this matchup because look at least on DraftKings, we talked about this pre-show, look at the receivers around him. Laviska Shenault, 5,200. DJ Chark is questionable with the ankle injury. I don't think he practiced today. So probably he doesn't go. So then people will go to Shenault. Chase Claypool at 5,200. We know everyone's flocking to him with Deontay Johnson out. And then even below, 5,000 for Brandon Cooks coming off a great game last week. So he's in that range where you're not going to see a lot of ownership. So if you do play multiple lineups and you have a Detroit stack, I think it's not crazy to throw him in there.
Yep,
if he gets 2 catches for 20 yards, don't be surprised either.
On the other side of that game, are you trusting in James Robinson this week to do his usual thing and end up helping out on the ground?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know about DFS. He's 6,800, but I think season-long leagues, you keep going back to him. He's had a pretty high floor. They talked last week about getting him more involved in the passing game, and especially in the second half. He had 5 receptions, 22 yards. The one thing to keep an eye on, though, is without DJ Chark, we've seen one game, and it was really bad. It was that Thursday night game against Miami, so maybe that was a product of a short week. But I think that maybe affects Gardner Minshew more than some of the other guys, because I remember that week, like I was not as high on Laviska Shenault as everyone else, and I didn't play him. But I will be playing him this week because he's gotten more involved in the offense. It's now 4 games into the season, 5 games into the season, and we've seen some of these rookie receivers now really start to get better, and it's not a surprise that it's taken them some few weeks.
No, definitely not a surprise at all. Cincinnati against the Colts. Again, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. The game is supposed to play. The Colts are still dealing with some defensive injuries. Darius Leonard looks like he's going to be out again. I'm pretty sure Anthony Walker still listed as questionable on this one. No, he's not actually. All right, so they get him back, but Justin Houston and Danico Autry are also questionable for this defense. Does that bode well for Joe Mixon?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting the volume. What was it, 31 touches last week? And he's also had 11 targets compared to 2 for Gio Bernard over the last 2 weeks. So they're finally using him more. So, yeah, I mean, DFS, no, probably not going to go there. I think there's better options. But season-long leagues, yeah, I'm going to be putting Mixon in there.
All right. What about your Colts? Jonathan Taylor, we're going to use him. Obviously, you start him for seasonal. What about any of the wide receivers? Zach Pascal, T.Y. Hilton. Dare we even think to go Trey Burton at tight end?
You might. I mean, Mo Alley Cox has been ruled out. Burton has 11 targets in the last 2 weeks. So tight end is a tough position right now. And they are using Burton as the pass-catching tight end. So if you're desperate, yeah. and Ty. That's about it, man. I mean, this is just the offense I don't have faith in. I like the Bengals to cover this line.
Yeah, I do too as well. +8. I'm digging on that.
Yeah.
Jets Dolphins. When was the last time the Dolphins were 9.5-point favorites? Meanwhile, though, let's say for seasonal and for DFS, I'll say Fitzpatrick, Gaskin, Parker, Williams, Gesicki. I'm in on the 5 of them, and Jamison Crowder.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I agree with you.
Boom.
I don't even think we need to really say much more. The one thing I'm looking for is how much is Perine used? LaMichael Perine, who I did pick up in some deeper formats. I'm not starting him. I
Right.
got a question too. It was like Perine and someone else. I'm like, you can't use Perine until we actually see the Jets use them. We've seen Le'Veon Bell out, and they didn't use Perine. I know he was banged up early in the season, but I'm interested to see how much usage he gets this week.
I am as well. Definitely something to watch for moving forward. Packers, Buccaneers. It's being billed as Brady versus Rodgers, yet with Vita Vea out for Tampa Bay in the middle of their defensive line, I'm thinking that the Aaron that we want to talk about for Green Bay is Jones, not Rodgers.
Yeah, look, the one thing, Devontae Adams is going to play, so we have seen the receptions go down a little bit for Aaron Jones. But look, people are going to be scared because the Bucs are really good against the run. They've shut teams down. I don't care. It's Aaron Jones. Sometimes we overestimate the matchup. You got to remember, Aaron Jones is a tough matchup for the defense too. It's not just one way. And Jones has been great this year, scoring touchdowns, involved in the passing game. So I think Aaron Jones is an interesting contrarian low-owned play because on DraftKings, he's the highest priced running back with no McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook ruled out. And people are not going to pay for him because he's 7,600. They're going to go to Henry at 7,300, Madison at 72, Mike Davis at 7. So it's not the best matchup, but Aaron Jones could score 2 touchdowns on this defense. They're going to move the football. They get near the goal line. You just got to hope they don't sprinkle in Jamal Williams. They did that a little too much against Atlanta.
It was Atlanta. I mean, not a great defense. Maybe that's, what it was. They knew that game was going to be in hand, and I don't know. I'll use Aaron Jones. He's a must start for me every week in seasonal.
Yeah.
If you're talking DFS, I'll use him in tournaments because everybody's going to be using Derrick Henry and Alex Madison in cash games. So they're going to be so heavily owned because they're also a couple of $100 cheaper. So tournaments, you probably get some. Oh, man, I'm going to build this team. Aaron Jones, Marvin Jones. Oh, I can't wait to build this team for DFS. I'm going to do this as soon as we're off of the show here.
Julio Jones, too?
Oh, yeah, baby. Give me Julio. All right, let's go to the Sunday night game.
Ronald
Rams.
Jones.
Who?
Ronald Jones.
The all Jones lineup.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones is my quarterback?
We just ruined it.
Yeah. Fine, let's just talk Rams Niners. Defense, you said you expect a lot of points in this one. The over-under is 52. Niners defense ain't what it used to be. Their offense this week, I mean, they need to get that going there. Mostert, Jimmy Garoppolo needs a better showing. He's got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Rams on the other side, Woods, Kupp. They're definitely a must. Maybe Everett instead of Higbee. What about the backfield? How about the backfield for the Rams? If you had to play, let's say you've got Akers, Henderson, and Malcolm Brown on your roster because you got really deep benches, pick one.
I have Henderson ranked the highest right now, but I don't feel good about it.
You sound so sad.
Akers would be 2. Look, McVay said last week, we're going to see more Akers. He had a nice run at the end of the game last week. Mm-hmm. He said we're going to see more Akers. He's a guy that I liked before the year. I have him in a few leagues. I'm not starting him because I'm not in a position where on the Akers teams where like I have to put someone in, like I'm in decent shape. But yeah, I mean, I could see people starting Akers this week if they have him. You hope that he can get, he had 8 carries last week. So you hope for 10 to 12 touches, but it's really dicey. I mean, it's easy to say avoid it, but you can't. I mean, when you start looking at the running backs that people have in the rankings, you just can't avoid it in some scenarios. Maybe you're lucky and you're loaded at running back or you don't have bye week issues. and you don't have to worry about it. But I think it would be Henderson 1, Akers 2. I think the 49ers are winning this game.
Are they covering? Oh, they're winning outright. They're
Yes.
3-point underdogs at home. I like that. I like the home dogs. I do.
Well, look, the Sunday night game, the last 2 weeks, I've been on the underdogs to cover, and they have. And actually, they should have won straight up, both of them. The Eagles, they won 2 weeks ago against the 49ers. I like them getting the points. Last week, I was on Minnesota +7. They covered. They should have won. And I like the Niners this week. Home dogs, they need a good game. I mean, It's easy to pick the Rams. They're 4-1. They look good. They're coming off, an easy win. And the Niners were embarrassed last week against Miami. So it's a divisional game. These teams know each other well. The 49ers have got to play a big game here. Big game for them.
All right, let's go to the Monday night games real quick. Here we go. Chiefs, Bills. Chiefs are favored by 4. It's the 5 p.m. Eastern game. Obviously, the Chiefs, they don't have Lev Bell yet. He needs 6 straight days of negative testing for COVID before he's even allowed to practice. So they're speculating Wednesday of next week could be his first practice. Does this put a chip on the shoulder of Clyde Edwards-Helaire? And he starts pushing a little bit harder and a little bit harder in order to get the ball and work this game.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a good play this week anyway, because we know he's going to get the huge workload. I know he's been a disappointment. Had the touchdown in week 1, hasn't scored since. Did have a receiving touchdown called back due to penalty last week. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think he's a good play. And McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins is going to be out, so that opens it up. So for those that were drafting McCole Hardman and holding on, this is a week where he's in the wide receiver 3 range. So I think you could play him.
Beautiful. Any concerns on the Buffalo side? Rebounding from this loss to Tennessee, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs still had 100 yards in that game. I don't even know what to make of this backfield. Singletary, Moss, it's been ugly.
Yeah, John Brown practiced today, so it looks like he's good to go. And I believe Zach Moss is going to be good to go too. So that's not good for Devin Singletary, who last week did nothing. Obviously, the game script went in the opposite direction. But Singletary was way more appealing without Zach Moss.
Arizona against Dallas. Here we go. Andy Dalton's first official start as a Cowboy. He's got all the weapons. Patrick Peterson ain't the guy he used to be. So all of a sudden now this secondary takes a different look. How are you digging on this game? I mean, we can talk about a couple of things. You've got the backfield for Arizona and how that's going to work and what the split in the touches are going to be. Will the Cowboys go heavy on Zeke, knowing that it's Andy Dalton? Where you at?
Yeah, I think they're going to try and run the football more, obviously, but their defense is just not going to be able to contain Kyler Murray in Arizona. I know they haven't been great offensively, but they started to take more shots last week, deep downfield, and the Cowboys just have been a mess. Starting to get some pieces back, but still. So Dallas can try and run the football. They're going to have to avoid the turnover, which even with Dak Prescott, they were having problems. So I think Dalton is a QB1 this week. He's got the weapons. We saw him come in, throw a couple shots deep down the field. He can't move as well as Dak to kind of escape pressure because we know the Cowboys' offensive line is a major issue right now. They're both tackles out for the year, so it's not what it once was. But I think Dalton has the weapons here to put up points.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. It's a nice little summation of what to expect here in week 6. As always, check the COVID blog over at fantasyalarm.com. Hit up Adam on Twitter at Adam Ronis. You can hit me up on Twitter at RotoBuzzGuy. You got the Fantasy Alarm chat that's always active, and it's always a good place to just kind of ping off a few ideas, whether it's start-sit questions, DFS questions, whatever it might be. And then, as you know, tomorrow night on the Wager Alarm live stream, myself and Craig Mish, we pick our games for the Super Contest. If you listen to this episode of Ante Up that came out this morning, that's me and John Impemba picking all of these games against the spread as well. And then, of course, Sunday morning, Jen Piacenti and I are here for the live chat. And then you've got the chat over at fantasyalarm.com as well. Big thanks to John Impemba for producing today. Adam, always a pleasure, man. Great to talk to you. Catch up with you soon enough. Thanks for watching the Fantasy Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next.